And I'm just getting everything straightened out here a little bit. Hopefully I've got it on the screen straight for you. And got a little card to show you today that I made with the Sweet Strawberry Stamp Set Bundle, which is one of the newer ones from the Stampin' Up! Catalog that just came out, the mini catalog, the January to June one. And again, it's just a fun little stamp set. One of my favorite ones from the new catalog, if you hadn't guessed already. Yes, this is definitely one of my favorite sets. I love that it's a punch, and love that it's got some cute little images with it as well. And I really, really love that the celebration items actually coordinate really nicely with it. Stampin' Up! Has a set of designer paper and another stamp set in the celebration offerings that coordinate with the punch and coordinates with the stamp set. So, hey, Bree and Rosie and Patricia, thanks so much for joining today. I appreciate you all being here. It looks like Karen is here as well. So again, just going to show you quickly how I made this card. And I'm trying to get it so that it's straight on the screen because I've been noticing lately that most of my videos are like all crazy. So hopefully it's on here fairly straight for you. So the Strawberry Fields Forever song, when you see the set, aw, yeah, that is a cute little song. So, but I love this set. I can't help myself. So, okay, so this is the card we're going to be making today, and I'll talk through a little bit of the things that I did with it as we're going along here. But this is the Sweet Strawberry Stamp Set. If you have not seen it yet, you need to see it. It's a good one. Again, it's from the mini catalog. So it is in there, and it is bundled together with this awesome punch, which I know it gets a bad glare. I don't want to turn it that way, so I'll leave it upside down, and hopefully you can see it. But they're punch pieces that coordinate with the strawberries, with the strawberry tops, with the little flower, and then with the strawberry leaf. There's also a small bloom punch in the annual catalog that coordinates with this flower image in here as well. So it's a great stamp set. And again, you know, love that it coordinates with a bunch of punches, which everybody loves. So let me set that aside and I'll put the punch, I think up over here. And I know I'm going to lose track of what that is, but, or where that is. But all right. So on the card, a couple other things that I used on it is I used the Tin Tile 3D embossing folder, which hopefully you can see that here on screen. If not, hopefully you can see it on the card. So that's the background of this. Again, it's just a white on white background. Hey, Danette, thanks for hopping in today. And then a couple of die sets that I used, which again, this is becoming one of my new favorite ones. This is the Hippo and Friends dies. And I used the largest of this sort of squarish, circularish, I don't even know what to call it, shaped die here. That's the one I used to layer underneath my strawberries here. And then the last die set that I used is the Stitch Shapes dies, and I used the second from the smallest oval to cut out the sentiment on here. All right, so let me set a few things aside. So I am ready to go here, hopefully, and you are too. Couple things before we get going. Basic White is the new Whisper White. If you haven't heard, Stampin' Up's Whisper White, the mill that actually made their Whisper White cardstock closed, unfortunately, permanently. So they had to find a new supplier. So now we have Basic White. So when you're out searching on the Stampin' Up website, it's no longer Whisper White. It's called Basic White, and I like it. It seems to stamp just as well, emboss as well. I've colored on it, and it seems to work just as well. The only thing that's a little different is that it's a little brighter white, which I actually like better than what the Whisper White was. Whisper White had a little bit of a yellow tint to it. The Basic White is a little bit brighter white. So, hey, Shelly and Sheila, thanks so much. Glad everybody's here today. Two more things. The Hey Chick stamp set bundle and the Hey Birthday stamp set bundle are going to be coming and available on February 2nd for customers to order. A couple of sample cards up here, projects up here, and they're really cute. Definitely good stamp set bundles. This stamp set is the old original one from Celebration about 3 years ago. They made a die set that coordinates with it. So if you have the stamp set, you can get the dies separately from it. If you do not have either one and want them both, they actually have them bundled together as well. So starting February 2nd, you can get these bundled together or individually. The Hey Birthday Chick stamp set is actually in the mini catalog. The dies are not. So this is a new item that again will be available starting on February 2nd. And again, you can get them bundled together or you can get them individually. So if you've already purchased the Hey Birthday Chick stamp set, you can get the dies later. You don't have to buy them in the bundle. So, all right. But again, February 2nd, the details are on the sidebar on my blog if you haven't seen it yet. Hey, Shelly, glad that you're here. And Barbara, I already said hi. I think so. Barbara, glad you're here as well. One last thing before I get started. The Stampin' Up! Is offering a really great deal during celebration. If you join as a demonstrator, you actually are going to get 5 free packs of 6-inch by 6-inch designer series paper with your starter kit, which is a $57.50 value. So if you join as a demonstrator between January 5th and February 28th, you're going to get those. Awesome deal. Normally, the starter kit, you pay $99 plus tax. You get to pick $125 worth of whatever you want for Stampin' Up! Merchandise for the starter kit. And then in addition to that, Stampin' Up! Is going to send you this awesome set of paper. And this is paper that's actually exclusive. You can only get it by joining now. You won't be able to get it until the annual catalog goes live in late May, June timeframe. The rest of us won't be able to get it until then. So if you join, you get a little early sneak peek at some new items from the upcoming annual catalog. So let me know if you have questions on that. I'd be happy to have you join. Once you join as a demonstrator, you get at least a 20% discount on anything that you purchase, which is an awesome deal of itself. And then, you'd get to come hang out with my team and me and get to do Stampin' Up! Events if you wanted to do that. And so lots of fun things. So let me know if you have questions about joining or questions about being a demonstrator. Happy to answer anything. So, hey, Diane, thank you for joining. I'm glad you love this stamp set and like my card too. So, all right. Couple things I did ahead of time. I went ahead and embossed. This is a piece of 3 7/8 by 5 1/8 inch basic white cardstock, and I'm going to adhere it. I embossed it, I should say, with the tin tile 3D embossing folder. Forgot to say that. And I'm going to adhere it to a piece of 4 by 5 1/4 basic white cardstock, just with some Stampin' Seal. And you'll notice as I'm going along here, I'm putting actually the adhesive on the non-embossed piece, just because I tend to sometimes get a little heavy-handed with my adhesive, and I don't want to smash down my embossing with my adhesive. So that's why I do it sort of backwards when I adhere the two pieces together when it's an embossed piece. Next thing I did ahead of time, which again, I die cut this with the largest of these dies, whatever these are, squares, circles, whatever you see. We'll just call it a square circle-y die. I went ahead and cut a piece of basic white cardstock with that largest die, and I'm just going to adhere that onto the card. Oh, wait, no, I got to stamp on it first. Almost got busy adhering it and forgot to stamp. Yikes. That would not have been good. So, all right, so I've got this, again, die cut basic white cardstock, and I've got garden green ink. And it's sort of a leaf and flower image is what I call it. I don't know what else to call it. It's, probably strawberry blooms maybe is what I should be calling it, but it's little leaves and little flowers, inking it up in garden green ink. And I'm just going to stamp it kind of up near the top of this die cut piece. Because again, I know where I want it to land on here, because I want it to be a little bit higher up so that when I put my my punches around on the bottom part of it, it's not covering up all the pretty stuff that I stamped on the background. So, all right, gonna grab a couple Stampin' Blends markers. I have got my light Granny Apple Green first, and I'm gonna use that again just when I do my coloring on images like this. I don't really spend a lot of time doing some really fancy blending techniques. I generally just get the color on the image. And if you didn't know, you can actually use the regular Stampin', just the regular Stampin' Up ink pads, the classic ink pads, and you can use blends with them. The reason you can do that is because the ink pads are water-based and the blends are alcohol-based, and the two don't mix together. So they kind of repel each other, which allows you to be able to actually color over a stamped image from that you've done with just your regular old ink pads. Pretty much all the colors work. There are a couple of them, some of the darker colors, you have to make sure that they're really, really dry before you start coloring on them. Otherwise, you will get a little bit of kind of smudging and that sort of thing. But that's sort of true with Tuxedo Black Memento ink as well. You kind of have to make sure that it's very dry before you start coloring on it. Otherwise, you can get some smudging from it, and that's just because the ink is still wet and not because they're mixing together. So, hey, Jean, thanks for joining today. Glad that you're liking the card and that you love the celebration coordination too. That was like brilliant as far as I'm concerned. I think because it's a really great pack of designer paper and another really great bonus stamp set that you get, and it's for free, which is awesome. So you can get some free stuff to go order this bundle and a few other things, because you have to do the $100 order to get that awesome stamp set bundle with the paper in it for celebration. But you can definitely get it and get it for free, which is always good. All right, so I've got the Dark Daffodil Delight Stampin' Blends marker, and I'm actually going to use the little bullet end, which I rarely use when I'm coloring, but since we're just doing little dots in the center of the flowers, that's easy, and all you need is just the bullet end of the marker. All right, so I've got that colored. Now is when I should say that I'm going to adhere it, if I don't stick it to my marker first, going to adhere it to the card front with some Stampin' Seal. So, all right, we'll flip that over and adhere it on the card front. Again, no special placement or measurement or anything. I just put it on here so that hopefully it is even and somewhat straight. That's kind of what I'm, trying to get it even around the edges and somewhat straight. That's the main thing I was worried about when I was doing that. So I'm going to set this aside for a second, and we're going to do a little bit of stamping of the sentiment, and we're going to heat emboss the sentiment. So it's going to be a little bit of a racket here. So I've got my Versamark ink and my sentiment set up here on my block. This is Poppy Parade cardstock, and just going to get my sentiment stamped or inked up well. And I'm going to stamp it down here on the Poppy Parade cardstock, lift it off, and then set this aside. Make sure I close up my ink pad, because if you've ever had an incident where you've spilled some of your embossing powder, or all of it, like I've done before, it becomes a huge mess if it sticks all over your Versamark ink pad. So I always recommend closing that up before you move along to the step of sprinkling on the embossing powder. So I've got white Stampin' Emboss powder that I've just sprinkled the image with. Like using the chalk markers to add some texture to the white bloom. So that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that. But yeah, I'll have to pull out the chalk marker and see what I can do with it. All right, so I'm going to use the heat tool here, the Stampin' Up! Heat tool. If you've heard me talk about this before, you probably already know it. If not, I'm going to tell you again anyway. It has 2 settings on it. Level 1 setting is for drying, and the level 2 setting is for heat embossing. So level 1 setting works well if you do things like watercoloring and your paper is really, really wet and you want to make sure that you dry it well. You can use the level 1 setting, and then level 2 will actually do your heat embossing, which is what we're going to do here. And there we go. It's starting to turn. Hopefully you can see it on the screen. When you're heat embossing, you do want to sort of keep the embossing tool moving along here, or your heat tool moving along. You don't want to let it sit in one place for too long, because you can burn your embossing powder. So I'm going to give it a second, kind of wave it around here and let it dry and cool off, because you can also smear your embossing powder if you touch it too quickly, because it's melted kind of plastic stuff. So all right, so I'm going to do a little die cutting here. And again, this is the Stitched Shapes die set, and this is the second smallest of the ovals. Just going to put this over the top and run it through my die cutting machine. So my die cutting machine is off here to the right, so I'm going to be off screen for 1 second. Hopefully y'all are having a great Friday. It's been fairly quiet around my house, thankfully. I don't know if anybody's having any crazy weather stuff, but it's been pretty quiet weather-wise around here, which is always a good thing. So, all right, so we've got that all done, and I think that's all the die cutting we have to do today. So, okay, so I'm going to then take this and adhere it to the card front, and then sort of work the rest of my, the card front, the strawberries and things around where I place the sentiment. So, I don't know, right or wrong, you can build it however you want to, but this works well for me. Just putting the sentiment on because I know where I want that to land, and then everything else I can kind of maneuver around it a little bit. And I'm also only putting the Stampin' Dimensionals, or my half ones, towards the center, just because I know I'm going to be tucking some of the leaves and strawberries in and around it. So I want to make sure that I don't have dimensionals all the way to the edge, so I don't have to chop up my leaves too much, hopefully, to get them in the place that I want them to be on the card front. All right, so let's go ahead and adhere that down, and I'm going to set this aside again. I did some of the stamping of the strawberries and the leaves and strawberry tops ahead of time, just because, I know it's about as exciting as watching paint dry, watching somebody stamp the same image over and over again. So I did, like I said, I did a little bit of it ahead of time, but figured I'd show you. They're very easy and pretty forgiving images. So I'm going to use Garden Green to stamp the outlines of the leaves and the strawberry tops. One thing that you do want to take a look at when you are using this punch is make sure that you're aware of the direction that you'll need to have the image stamped in relation to your cardstock, if that makes sense. So since this leaf is turned like this, I want to make sure I'm stamping it like this and not like this, because then when I go to punch it, I'm going to have a hard time punching it out, if that makes sense. So, all right. I am not using the free celebration stamp set today. Nope, I am not. So this is just the one that is in the mini catalog called Sweet Strawberry. So, all right, I have got the top, the little strawberry top that I'm going to stamp as well. And again, I just want to make sure that I have got this turned the right way so that it matches up with my punch when I go to punch it out. Another thing with this stamp, or with this punch when you're using it, is you do want to make sure that you have either have your cardstock cut into sort of strips or use your edge pieces like this, or make sure you've got a lot of space around it when you do your punching, because this is a larger punch and you definitely can end up, if you stamp your images close together, can end up with things overlapping, and then you're going to end up punching things you didn't want to punch, and you know, all that sort of thing. So I've got Granny Apple Green ink, and I better try to wipe that other green ink off my fingers before I make a mess. So Granny Apple Green ink, and this is the more solid image of the leaves. And again, like I said, it's pretty forgiving and fairly easy to line up. And even if you don't get it perfect, it's okay. It's a fun little stamp set. So I've got this is the top, the strawberry top. And I'm going to turn this here and hopefully stay on screen. When I'm looking at it to line it up, I try to line up the bottoms down here and the stem. Those are the two things that I'm trying to look at and sort of make sure that I'm getting it somewhat close together. And again, it doesn't need to be perfect, and it's a pretty forgiving little set. All right, we're going to go ahead and punch these out. And again, this is the Strawberry Builder Punch, which comes bundled together with the Sweet Strawberry Stamp Set. And again, here I've got the little strawberry top turned the right direction to get it so that I can punch it out fairly easily as the papers go flying. All right, so we've got the strawberry green pieces all done. Next up, we're going to do the stamping of the strawberry. And I actually am going to do that twice. And the strawberry, the first time I punched it or stamped it, I did it totally upside down because I just hadn't looked at the punch very carefully, and I stamped it the other way around and then went to punch it and went, oh, that's not going to work well. So again, keep that in mind. It's sort of upside down from what I think it should be, but I'm sure that's just how it fits inside the punch. So I've got the outline image for my strawberry, and I've got Poppy Parade ink. And I'm going to stamp, again, making sure that I'm upside down. And this one, I actually only did one of the strawberries ahead of time, so I figured I'd do two of them here. And I'm going to make it sure that there's a bit of space in between them, just because we need a little extra space around the image for punching out the pieces. This is the more solid of the strawberry images. And again, Poppy Parade ink. And hopefully I can get this lined up if I get my big face up over the top of the camera. And there must be a little bit of, I don't know, a little bit of wiggle room in this one, because I haven't been able to stamp every single image absolutely perfectly, but I haven't really had much trouble where things don't stamp the right way or you're way out of the lines or anything like that. So like I said, it must have a little wiggle room in it, or be easy to stamp with, either way. But it's a good stamp set. So, all right, we're going to punch these out. Try to get all my little punch pieces out of the way so I don't get any of those mixed in and grab the wrong thing when I'm putting stuff together. All right, and slide this to the side. Thanks, Becky, I appreciate that. All right, so we've got our strawberries all done here. The strawberry pieces are done, and we need some glue dots, if I can figure out where I put them at. And I'm just going to take glue dots and adhere the little strawberry tops to the strawberries. Hopefully, if I can get the glue dot to stick there. And again, I don't know that there's any specific way you have to put them on there. You can put them on however it works best for you, however you think they look best. I just tried to center them sort of up near the top, and that was, you know, again, I didn't take a lot of time to worry about getting them on here perfectly. I just put them on because, you know, most fruit and strawberries and things, they don't ever look perfect in nature either. So that's what I'm going with. All right, back to our card base here, or card front, I should say. I've got some of the leaves, some of the little green leaves, and I do know that I want a couple of them tucked around the sentiment here. Whoop, I dropped that one instead of putting it where I wanted it to go. So I'm going to put one, I think, right here on the sentiment, and another one, just taking glue dots again and sticking them to the back, and I'm going to take that and adhere it right over here. And then I'm going to actually take this one, maybe. Come on. There we go. And I'm going to actually adhere the leaf, not the glue dot, adhere the leaf with a glue dot to the back of the strawberry before I adhere it onto the card front, which again will help me just with placement and making sure that I have things ending up. All right, glue dots. They're not cooperating, so I'm going to pick them, pick them and stick them. So, all right, so I've got my glue dots on the back of my strawberry here. And I'm going to kind of just tuck it in up here with the stamped image on the background. And then I'm going to take this one and I'm going to adhere it here over the top of my sentiment. So, hey Terry, thanks for joining today. Glad that you're liking the card as well. So when I'm adhering this one on, I know that part of it is going to be on the sentiment and part of it is not. So what I'm going to do is put Stampin' Dimensionals in the areas where it is not on the top of the sentiment, which I know it's going to be kind of towards the bottom and off to the one side. And then I'm going to take a glue dot and put it on over on the other side so that it will stick down fairly flat over to the sentiment. Hopefully it will catch it in the right place. And if not, the Stampin' Dimensionals should hold it well enough that we don't need to worry about it. All right, so I've got my adhesive on the back of here, and I'm just going to come in here, figure out where I want this in relation to my other images and my sentiment. And I think we'll go ahead and just tuck it right in there. And then I have my final strawberry that I'm going to stick down a little bit lower on the card front. And then we'll add a rhinestone, and the card front's basically going to be all done. Again, just using some glue dots, and I'm going to tuck this right in. I think I may put this one over a little bit to this side this time. So, all right, I think we'll go with that this time. Again, it's a little bit different placement than I had on my original card, but I think it works. So, all right, we've got rhinestone here, and you know, my awesome ability to use rhinestones. I just took one and stuck it on there just to add a little bit of something sparkly. I didn't want it, I thought about putting a few more on, but then I thought it kind of started to take over the card front, and I didn't like that look. I wanted it to be a little cleaner, a little simpler. So we're going to adhere this to the front of a thick basic white, I almost call it whisper white again, thick basic white card base with Stampin' Dimensionals. This one is the book fold card, your standard 8.5 by 5.5 by 8.5 and scored at 4 1/4 card base. My original card, I actually had it one of the portrait type cards, which is 4 1/4 by 11 and scored at 5.5. So it opens this way on my original card. And then the one we're making today is one of your standard issue book fold cards. So this card front works on either one. You can choose your favorite fold for the card and use that one. So I typically prefer the folds that open at the top, but again, that's just my own personal style and my own way of doing it, and everybody has their own way that they like to put their cards together, and it's nice because most of them work no matter which way around you put them, so except for upside down, which I almost did. So, all right, let me see if I can get this adhered on here, hopefully straight and centered. And that's it for the card front, so pretty easy. And hey, Gina, I'm glad you're here live as well. So, and Danette, thanks so much. Glad you like my card. I thought it turned out pretty cute. I was pretty happy with the way this one turned out. All right, on the inside, I kept it pretty simple as well. Just did a little stamping and some quick coloring. Again, I've got garden green ink and the little image from the little leaf and flower image. the strawberry blooms, I guess is what I think I officially called it earlier, so maybe I should call it strawberry blooms again. I'm just going to stamp it on the corners of the panel here on the inside of the card. And then do a little bit of quick coloring on the leaves and the flower centers, and then we will be all done with the card. So, all right, and don't forget, celebration is going on right now, so for every order of $50 or greater that you place With Stampin' Up, they're going to send you a free, or you get to pick a free item from their celebration list. There are a couple of the items that are $100 items, and some of them are $50 items. So for every $100, you can pick some of the items, and for every 50, you can pick from another set of items. So if you have questions about that or haven't seen the catalogs yet, let me know, and I can either send you a copy of the catalogs or direct you where to find them out online. And again, so just a awesome time of year to be ordering, because Stampin' Up gives you lots of free little extra goodies, so tons of fun. All right, I'm coming back in here with the light. I had put a little bit of the dark granny apple green on it. I'm just going to come back in and try to do a little blending. Again, nothing too exciting about the way that I'm doing it, just basically getting a little color and a little shading on the images. And then I'm going to come back with the Daffodil Delight, and I'm just going to color in the flower centers here with dark Daffodil Delight, and then we'll adhere the two pieces together, or the inside to the card base, and we'll be all done with the card for today. So thanks so much for joining today. I hope you enjoyed watching the video and checking out the card, and I hope that you have a good rest of your weekend. I will plan to be back on my Facebook channel live around 2 o'clock Eastern time next week, Tuesday, and then back here on YouTube live again around 2 o'clock Eastern time on Friday. So that's it. Thanks for joining today. That's all I had. So hope that you have a great rest of your weekend. I will plan to chat with you all sometime next week. So again, have a great weekend, and we'll see